Hi there. So, I'm gonna just peel some apples for my juicing and maybe just talk a little while I do it. But first, I want to burn some Palo Santo and sage. Do you know what I just made? I just made a conjunction oracle. An oracle of conjunctions. So, when I'm saying conjunction, I'm referring to the grammatical. Is the way to describe a grammatical rule or set of words. Yes, set of words. Like and, or, but, if, those type words. Because I was realizing that some of the messages that I've been getting, it's really hard to do your own readings sometimes. Like I do really, really good readings if I'm right in front of the person and I'm reading their energy and that's what I'm doing. But when I'm doing a reading for myself, all my biases, the things I don't want to see, pains that I might be avoiding, I'm hiding it from my own self sometimes. Or like my wants can all kind of clutter up what I'm seeing. And I was realizing that had I had the distinction of conjunctions in some of the energies that my oracle was giving me, I would have made sense out of what Spirit's message was to me a lot sooner. And so I just made the conjunction oracle. I haven't even tried it out yet. I just made it. And I probably will try it out in a reading soon. But the funny thing about it is the word conjunction is in my oracle bucket. And that would come out quite often. And, it's like things can have more than one meaning. And implying meaning also would come out of my bucket. Because the reason why I had put the word conjunction in my bucket was because conjunction is an aspect in astrology. And it started out as my astrology bucket oracle. But I think it's pretty funny that my oracle was telling me all the right answers. I just didn't know how to interpret it. It was telling me to use the word conjunction with a meaning that I, wasn't using it for. And it just dawned on me today when I wasn't even thinking about it. That a conjunction, like being able to decipher what they meant about if, or, now, because of kind of things would have been really helpful. And I would have got the message sooner. And it's kind of cool that my oracle was telling me that all along. That, hey, you need to add some conjunctions in here to understand this message. I love it. I mean, sometimes when these things happen, yes, it's a hit to my ego, but I'll humble myself all day long for these beautiful messages. Because it's also, like, at the same time I'm being humbled, I'm also being shown, like, hey, you're also being guided here. And you're being guided towards this bigger picture view that you don't have access to. So it's a very valuable thing. It's like, yeah, I can't deny that. So thank you for humbling me. Thank you for letting my ego check itself, Oh, just gonna do some Palo Santo. Most of the ingredients for my crystal, my candles are being delivered today, but I don't know if I'm gonna do them today or not. Probably gonna wait, see if I can get a few more of the things. I might make one or two to start. We'll see how I feel. And I don't know if I'll record that or not, but for now, I'm gonna peel these organic apples. And that is in preparation of juicing them. I re-upped on my ingredients for juice today. So I just finished my juice yesterday, the last of the juice that I had. And I'm excited to get some more juice in me. because it just feels so good. I just ate like it's like a little like piece of haddock, but it's breaded. And like I just feel, it doesn't feel as good as just drinking juice, but it's part of like me eating a meal today, and that would be the meal that I eat. And then the rest will probably be juice for the day. And it's because I already had that in my freezer on hand. Like I'm trying to use up the groceries that I already have because I'd already done a big grocery shop for this month, and most of my budget for food went to that. And so I'm just working it out this way where I ease into a fast, but still implement the juice so I can start getting the benefits. And then when I'm ready to eliminate the foods, then the juice fast will begin. Just have way more energy when I'm juicing. I feel more clear-minded. I feel it's like an act of self-love. So it somehow equals this feeling of self-empowerment. Like I'm not just doing lip service that I love myself. I'm actually loving myself by taking good care of myself. An ant there, I had to tap the thing to make him think twice about coming in my house. So what are you guys doing today? I believe it's Friday, so it's the end of a week. I've gotten to see my son and granddaughter today briefly as I dropped off milk to them. Hazel, it was Hazel that I saw. I have two granddaughters, but it was Hazel. And she's just so sweet. When she saw me, she came up to the car and her dad was holding her. And she said, "Hi, it's raining." I said, "I know." She had her coat on, her raincoat. She just really lights up my life a lot. I really, really, really enjoy her company and her inquisitive nature and we can make a game out of anything. In the beginning, when she was much younger, I would keep like toys here for her, and I've realized that as she outgrew the toys, I didn't replace them, and it's sort of more like a Montessori type play that happens when she's here. Like, it's just things that I already have here that are safe for her, and we make a game out of it. And that's why she became so accustomed to those cards, those Marvel cards, those Marvel and Disney cards that we use sometimes when we do the readings together. It's because we had already played with those, several times on our own, where different games, like usually the game is that she holds up the card and asks me, "What's this?" And I tell her what it says. But sometimes I switch it around on her and I ask her, "What is it?" And then she'll tell me. And I think it's cool the way she remembers certain cards, because she's not necessarily reading them. She just remembers what I said about it. Like there's a dating card, and I must have said one time like that they love each other, because the next time, and there's like a month in between these times playing these games. The next time she saw that card, she said they love each other. Like, yeah, they do. And that's not necessarily the case with just people who are just dating these days. Apparently there's like commercials for Tinder, and like hooking up is like a regular old thing. If there's anyone younger watching this, I would just want to say, like, listen. You don't have to listen if you don't want to, but if you would like to listen, I would like to say something about this. And it is that when you have sex with somebody else, you are mingling your DNA. You are mixing your energy with them, and you're kind of like getting entwined, you know? It's a serious thing. Like, it's a very serious thing. Like, someone who's energetically sensitive, like me, if you're all tangled in with a bunch of people, sexually, I could feel that. I could know that. You could contaminate me with not just something like a sexually transmitted disease, but like a spiritually transmitted disease, like a poor energy, like when I was in a relationship with somebody and he cheated, I could feel it physically in my body because I was tied to him because we had sex. And that was heartbreaking. But the reason why I share that with you is because people don't understand how serious it is. It really is serious. Like sharing your sexual energy, it's a mistake to take it so lightly. It's a mistake to think hookups are the way to go. It's really not. And I'm not saying that's necessarily true, that you need to stay in relationship with one person for your whole life. And I'm not even saying that you can't have hookups, but at least clean up your energy. At least take good care of yourself energetically, not just physically, not like cleaning your body, not just using protection, but also like spiritually disconnecting from that person. And I feel like if you were that in tune to be able to spiritually disconnect from a person, then you probably know yourself a little bit better. And then you probably realize the detriment that you're really doing to your spirit in order to treat people like they're a tool for your pleasure. I mean, honestly, it's just gross. And that is a discernment that I have made. Like, I'm not going to judge you or think you're a lesser person, but I do discern that behavior is gross. And I mean that from an energetic level. So anyhow, you can cleanse from these things, though. Like me, I haven't had to develop like any rituals for disentangling my body from others' sexual energy. And that's because I'm not sexually out there. Like, the last time I had sex was with my last boyfriend. And he was the only one who I had sex with, besides for one other partner when we had split up one time. And so that goes back, let's see, like, 8 or 9 years. That's two partners. So I don't, know what it takes to detach from others if you have like a chronically, like a hookup culture. Like, I don't even know what that would entail, but I do know that it was really, really, really hard for me to disconnect from my last partner. Like the energy. It took a lot, and I did finally do it, and I was so thankful when I was done, but like, it really matters, guys. It really matters. Like, the fact that there's a commercial for Tinder was just like, it was this moment for me where I was like, oh my gosh. It was the first time I'd ever thought, like, we're in a different time. Living in a different way, And maybe that does say something about me in conjunction with the post I made yesterday about it was my first time ever listening to Post Malone. It's like, yeah, you could say that maybe I'm not with the times or whatever. It definitely hasn't been my priority to keep up with trends. Trends usually, don't grab me. Marketing doesn't usually grab me. It's because I read energy, and I'm reading vibrations, Like, the only reason I could be in a relationship with somebody is because we had a soul contract to do so. Like, I'm not inclined to go like on just a random date with somebody, unless that was something that spirit told me to do, and then I would do that. Just because, like, I'm serious about this stuff, and I totally get that there's a whole other way of looking at it. Like, you only live once. You have free will. Why not enjoy while you're here? And I'm not like a prude or anything. Like I actually did end up I went, years without really, caring about sex very much after a while, after that breakup. And then, and then more recently, I was like realizing, okay, like I do have these urges now again. Like finally, I think I'm ready to like, look into like how I can satisfy myself this way. And then I invested in like a good sex toy. And for me, that's like, well, first of all, it's like, holy shit, this toy is very effective. And probably no man could live up to it ever. So that's unfortunate. No, that's not true, because like, of course, physical, intimate, touch is preferable to that. But I'm just saying, like if it's just about urges, if it's just about sexual urges, or you're being bored, or, there's other ways to deal with that kind of stuff. And if it's about using people to feel powerful as some sort of way to show your value or prove to yourself that you're worthy, gosh, like there's another way to go about that. And that is an egoic coping structure that's gonna crumble. Like, well, it will backfire. So being true to yourself, and being able to self-validate and not look outside of yourself for reassurance and comfort and all of that stuff is really, really, really important. So that when you do have a partner, you're interdependent and you both know how to take care of yourselves, and you're not taking from the other, and maybe when the other has like a sick day or something, if that were to happen, you have the energy to kind of help out a little bit, but they're not so sick that, I know I'm getting into dangerous territory here, because I don't want to speak on what it is to sacrifice for a loved one when they are terminally ill or anything like that, because I don't have that experience and it's not my expertise. But I'm just saying, like, interdependent relationships, those can even happen in relationships where one partner is caretaking for the other, because there can be some sort of reciprocation. And it's important, but not important in the way that it's like a transaction, Anyways, I shouldn't even speak on this topic, maybe because like I haven't perfected it. I think I was meant to perfect it in this lifetime, but the other end of my soul contract didn't show up. So here we are. Like, I was thrown onto another timeline, and I've just had to like do it from here, by myself for a lot longer. And it did take a lot of tears for me to get to the point where I was like, okay, I'll just do it by myself, because I was really sad and mad, and like, I guess there's still a little bit of tears about it, because like, I knew what spirit told me I was working towards. I knew what my immediate trajectory was, and then the other party was just like, nah, something else. When they had some sort of decision to make, and they made a different decision, and it was like, okay, now I'm on this timeline, and it's not that. And then like, I really liked that. I really wanted that. That's what I came for. And then this was my last lifetime. So it was like a real big deal to my soul's journey. And like, there was a lot of scrambling around to kind of just like salvage this lifetime I'm in. Which I know sounds really sad, but I'm not saying it like I'm a victim. I'm saying it like, yeah, there's some real human feelings about that, like of sadness, and that's just what it is, right? Like I alluded to, another soul contract that didn't show up for me when I had presented an opportunity for us to make a song together, and I just said, well, what are you gonna do? You got to move on, and that's what it is. It's like, I think my energy tends to call people up. It's like, all right, well, if we're going to do this, we got to do this from this level up here, because that's what my lifetime is about. It's like, we're going up here. We're taking the high road. We're going to achieve some things. We're going to shed some things, And if that's not what you're on board with, then I have to keep going without you, because that means we're going to grow apart. And that's what's happened a lot. But lately I've realized that one of the lessons Spirit wanted to teach me about all of this is that there could be a tendency for me to, especially earlier on when I was with low self-worth and I didn't know my value and stuff, there could be a tendency for me to take it personal when others kind of don't like being called up, when they shun it, and when they kind of exclude or shun me as a result of the offering that my energy is, you know? And so Spirit has kind of just like brought me around this way to like show me like, hey, that's not personal, okay? It means nothing about you just because they exclude you. Like, it doesn't actually mean anything about your value, even though there's a part of you that wants to take it personal, you know? And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll deal with that part of me, acknowledge her, validate why she feels that way, accept that she feels that way, and be present with the feelings that she has about that, whether it be humiliation, embarrassment, sadness, longing, hunger for connection. You know, these are all the things that can make people turn to addictions. So if I wasn't dealing with those emotions, then I could be turning to addictions to suffice that, you know, discomfort in me, right? Shopping addiction. I could be trying to get those dopamine hits. I could be posting selfies and trying to get likes. I could be going to the bar and just having one night stands, or, you know, all kinds of things that I could be doing instead of doing the work of really dealing with myself on that level of like, I haven't done anything wrong because I know my intentions are good, and I know I haven't done harmful things. Like if somebody pure and good, you know, I'm going to say pure and good because my intentions are pure, okay? I don't mean that I've completely purified every aspect of myself yet. But I want to, right? Like, so, but if someone with those intentions comes around a group of people, and that group of people shuns that person, and that person literally really does have good intentions, isn't causing harm, wants to be friendly, wants to be a part of the group, isn't putting anyone else down, is just being authentically themselves, and they're not allowed to be in the group because of that. Like maybe they're called a weirdo or whatever is pinned on that person. That doesn't say anything about the person, except for, hey, you're in the wrong group of people. Hey, those people are not for you. Like, okay. You know, it's like, okay, well, you know, that's what it is. Like, so Spirit's kind of put me in some situations like that where I've had to learn to take up my own power for comforting myself through situations of rejection or being excluded and things like that. And it's like, okay, I get that. I get that. And I'm not, you know, it's not that I was excluded because I was sneaky or stealing or gossiping or, you know, it was literally because I wanted to live a better way. It was literally because I wanted to not do things that were avoidance of the high road, you know. I don't want to leave my path on the high road just because I've been presented with groups of people who would have me do that in order to fit in. It's kind of like a mimic of the family dynamics when you're in dysfunctional relating dynamics amongst your family, and maybe there's narcissism running in your family, and it's like everyone gets a role. The golden child, the black sheep, the scapegoat, and like people pleasing becomes one of the coping mechanisms, and it's like when you start to heal from those dynamics, if you've ever grown up in a family like that, something that you notice is that some people in that dynamic don't have any room for you in their life if you're not in the role that you were in. Like once I was not a people pleaser anymore, a lot of people didn't have room for me in their life because the only role that I had in their life was pleasing them. And once I wasn't all about pleasing them, I lost my importance to them. So I was right. I was right that in order to be important to them, I needed to please them. But I was wrong in thinking that I needed them to be thinking I'm important. All I had to do was take my power back and know that I'm important to me. I'm the one I have to spend time with, not them, you know? So it's the same kind of dynamic, and it's just like, I believe that that's what that was. Like spirit led me into experiences like that to help me solidify those lessons from earlier on in life, where I had family members that kind of would only allow me in their lives in certain roles. And if I wasn't going to be in that role, then, you know, they would turn on me and become persecutor. And that's what it is, the drama triangle: victim, rescuer, and persecutor. And the victim and the rescuer can switch into the role of persecutor at any time. So when you find yourself in, you know, a group of people and you have to fit in to be accepted, just know that it will eventually backfire. And spirit is probably setting it up real big. And if you've come to a choice point and you recognized it and you chose to go the low road, meaning you dishonored yourself, you didn't allow yourself to be yourself anymore, and you dimmed down in order to fit in, that's going to be a lesson. And that's okay. It's okay to learn lessons. And maybe it'll feel really, really good, like a homecoming, when you come back to yourself and you apologize to yourself and say, I'm really sorry for like not valuing me enough to walk away from them instead of sacrificing myself, you know? So yeah, these are hard lessons, but good lessons, right? Because I don't know, like all of it kind of culminates into this place where I can take up my own power, where I'm really like willing to say, okay, yeah, like I I am okay, even if I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who don't know it. Because I know myself. I know my intentions. And I don't think I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that don't see it anymore. You know, that was the lesson. And once I learned the lesson, it's like, oh, cool. Now I'm being reflected back, people who appreciate it, people who call back and say, hey, can you do a reading for me? Or, hey, you know, I really appreciated that. Hey, you might not realize, you know, how you helped me. Or, you know, hey, I know you have some insight, you know, whatever it is. I am being reflected back that once I move through the lesson of surrounding myself with people who don't allow me to be me, and be honored and valued for me in order to be in their lives. Yeah. There was one other topic. Oh, you know what's become weird now lately at this stage too? So now that I'm just more in myself and more in this view of like, I matter and I have a say and no one needs to really agree with it because it's just my view, you know, and my ego's not like needing them to approve of me or think that I'm valuable in order to like be okay and calm and safe in this world. So now that I'm at this stage, you know, it come into my awareness today, and when I was in the grocery store, and I was just thinking how weird it is that people will just like walk next to another human being, maybe even do the same task or be walking next to them or in front of them or passing each other, and then like not even acknowledge that there's another human being next to them. Like, I can't do that anymore. I cannot pretend that you're not a human being right next to me and that we're happen to be at the same time and space. Like, there's a whole divine orchestration going on here. So if spirit put you and me at the same time and space, I will acknowledge you are another human being at the same time and space as me. That's cool. Like, whatever the reason is for, whether it's so we can exchange a nod, a smile. You know, if I can have a conversation with somebody, I will. I'm not trying for it, but if it happens naturally, I'll let it. It'll always be an acknowledgement. I'll look you in the eye. I'll smile. I will nod. Whatever the other person's energy allows is what I will engage in. You know, so some people are open to a little chit chat, and some people are just like, oh, you know, okay with a nod or a smile or a hi, and then other people will avert, you know? And all of that's okay, but it's very weird for me to think that that I would do that. Like, I'm not going to avert my gaze from some other human being. I have to acknowledge other human beings now. And I think earlier on in my life, the only reason that I might have been doing that was because of my severe anxiety, you know, where I had to just like put my mind on the task and get it done with and get out. And I didn't have the capacity to kind of mingle with other people's energy at that point. But at this point, I feel like it's just so beautiful that I get to be alive and that you're alive too, and that we find ourselves at this stage, and like we're both bagging up our produce at the supermarket, and I'm gonna like acknowledge you, you know? Yeah. So yeah, it just became weird not to acknowledge humans for me at this stage. Like the idea of being in like New York City, walking down the sidewalks and not acknowledging people, not acknowledging a homeless person who's sitting on the sidewalk, or not acknowledging a person in a business suit walking by me. Like those are all people. Those are humans. Those are my people. You know? Like, yeah, like it would probably take me a long time to get down the street in New York, huh? So maybe I'm lucky that I live in the woods. I like the woods very much. All right.